We're going to find out about the 4 forces that rule the universe. The radiance of the sun, the fury of a storm. Our world seems dominated by implacable forces. In ancient times, the unleashing of the forces of nature were ascribed to quarrels or acts of revenge among the gods. But modern physics teaches us that all these phenomena are ruled by 4 principal forces. As the planets make their journey endlessly around the sun, all the objects near the surface of the Earth are irresistibly drawn toward it. Both these phenomena are caused by a single force, gravity.
If I told you that you just won the lottery, what would you do? If you're like me, you'd jump up and down and scream. And after you were done freaking out and jumping in the air, you'd land on your feet, right? But why would you land back on the ground instead of just floating off into space? It's because of a little something we call gravity. Gravity is what pulls everything toward the ground, including you. Without the force of gravity, there would be no life on Earth. Air, water, animals, everything would fly off into space. There'd be no you, no me, no French fries, nada. Think of gravity like the invisible superglue that holds our massive world together. You can't see it, but it's always there. An English scientist named Isaac Newton was the first person to seriously study gravity over 300 years ago. There's a famous story about him that you might have heard. Supposedly, Sir Isaac was hanging out underneath an apple tree thinking, probably partly napping, when an apple fell from the tree and conked him on the head. That's when Sir Isaac had an aha moment. Why did the apple fall down to the ground and not up or sideways? He realized that a special kind of force, which we now know as gravity, was acting on all of the objects on Earth, pulling them toward it. Once the apple became too heavy for its stem to hold it anymore, the gravitational pull of Earth brought the apple down onto Newton's noggin.
According to the law of gravity, all objects possessing mass attract each other. However, that attraction is only noticeable when the object's mass is very large. The Earth is very massive and has a powerful gravitational field that keeps the Moon orbiting around it. But the Moon also exerts a gravitational force on the Earth. It's that force that creates the tides. An object's gravitational force gradually decreases as we move away from it, but it acts over very great distances. That's why even the planets farthest away from the Sun remain prisoners of its attraction. The second force in the universe is electromagnetic force. Like gravity, it acts from a distance. Electromagnetism is at the source of phenomena as diverse as electricity, magnetism, and light. The electromagnetic force makes itself powerfully apparent in an electric storm. During the storm, large numbers of electric charges of the same kind accumulate in the clouds, whereas their opposite charges concentrate in the ground. For a brief moment, these electric charges surge toward each other. They create an electric current. This movement of the electric charges causes a second phenomenon, the emission into the atmosphere of an invisible magnetic field. That magnetic field has the property, for instance, of making a compass's magnetic hand deviate. Simultaneously, a third phenomenon occurs. During the storm, some electrons in the air's atoms are temporarily torn away from their nuclei. Small, massless particles, photons, then burst out into the atmosphere. Photons are the elementary components of light, which explains the blazing lightning we see during an electric storm. The third great force of the universe originates in the nuclei situated at the core of atoms. These nuclei resemble small blackberries. They consist of 2 types of particles, protons with a positive charge and neutrons with 0 electric charge. Normally, protons and neutrons are stable. However, in some chemical elements referred to as radioactive, neutrons turn into protons or vice versa. The force which causes this transformation is called the weak force. Electrons emitted under the action of the weak force constitute a form of radioactivity called beta radioactivity. A number of these radioactive elements are found in their natural state on Earth. Researchers believe that it is radioactivity that is responsible for the intense heat that reigns in the depths of the planet. In turn, that heat generates numerous phenomena, including the slow shifting of the continents and violent volcanic eruptions. The fourth force of nature is the nuclear force, or strong force. It is the most powerful force of all. Also found in atomic nuclei, it holds protons and neutrons together. The nuclear force makes itself manifest naturally in our sun. The sun radiates that energy into space in the form of light and heat, part of which reaches us. We have a great deal more to learn about the four forces that rule the world, and their possibilities still hold quite a few surprises for us.